Hey everyone, welcome to Broadband Deployment News. A new association to promote municipal broadband, the success of municipal broadband, was just recently formed. I'll be talking about that in just a moment. Be right back. Thanks for joining me. Rick Husey here at Broadband Deployment News. So at the Broadband Community Summit last week in Houston, a new organization was announced that is meant to be an advocacy group for municipal broadband. I thought I'd talk about that this afternoon. Here's a story in Community Networks. A new municipal broadband advocacy group organization is born. Should I make that a little bigger so I can see it right here a little better? Whoops, hold on. Let's just make that text bigger. With an unprecedented opportunity for local communities to build their own ubiquitous high-speed internet infrastructure, a new national organization has been formed to advocate on behalf of municipal broadband initiatives and to give local governments a seat at the table as federal and state officials craft legislation and grant programs to close the digital divide. Today at the Broadband Community Summit, so this was last week in Houston, the group's founding members held a press conference to announce the birth of the American Association of Public Broadband. It says, we were formed by a group of municipal officials in order to advance, hold on here, there we go, trying to scroll. Actually, let me fix something here. Sorry about this, folks. There we go. We were formed let's see, where was it? We were formed by a group of municipal officials in order to advance advocacy efforts for public broadband and to make sure they have a voice in Washington and in all 50 states, said AAPB board member Bob Knight. Knight went on to explain that while AAPB will be advocating for municipal solutions to local connectivity challenges, he said, we are model agnostic, whether you want to partner with a large ISP, build your own network, or form a public-private partnership, which, you know, I guess partnering with a large ISP might be the same as a public-private partnership, I'm thinking, but maybe he's got a different definition for that. AAPB was founded primarily because municipal networks didn't have much of a voice in the conversation around broadband funding in the American Rescue Plan Act or the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, even as there was significant lobbying efforts on behalf of the big telecom companies. And that's true. I mean, the big telecom private companies are always going to be lobbying. And there may not have been much of that on the municipal side, but certainly the Biden administration really would have liked to have said that municipal networks and electric co-ops and other organizations that would be considered not-for-profit would have precedence, because their goal is to get broadband out there ubiquitously and then also make it affordable. And if you have it in the hands of not-for-profits, then they don't need to be making a profit and they can help keep the prices down. So certainly the Biden administration would like to go in that direction, but they were not able to get that in the bill, possibly from some of the lobbying efforts from the telecom companies, as well as, you know, just in general, the Republican mindset that, you should, for private companies should be able to compete on a level playing field. And there are questions about that that people have raised. So we say here, let's see, AAPB raised $50,000 in funding commitments from government agencies and private donors within the first half hour of announcing the formation of AAPB. So maybe people got on their phones and started donating. And he said later, might have been the next day, that I think it was in the first 12 hours, it was $100,000. So they had $100,000 banked in just the first 12 hours. Organizational priorities. So when asked what the priorities of the organization will be, Knight, McKinley, and AAPB Treasurer Scott Menhart agreed that right out of the gate they will need to put together a 50-state strategy and a Washington strategy, noting that the big telecom industry spends about $8 million a week lobbying in the nation's capital. Another top priority is hiring a full-time executive director who will not only be responsible for raising money for the organization, but also coordinating with state broadband offices, who recently have been losing staff to private industry and will need technical expert advice to help ensure that municipalities are not legislatively harmed when it comes to accessing a rescue plan or federal infrastructure funds. Since we really want to be an educational resource on what works and what are good models, because when cities and towns are looking at broadband, the two big questions are, can we do it and how can we do it? We hope to solve those two key issues, Menhart said. And those are two big questions. You know, we hear when we go to trade shows that a lot of the municipalities are starting from scratch with not a lot of information, and they really need need to know the very basics. So that's a different question, right? Or that's a different issue. So the question is, will municipals be kind of cut out of federal funds? And I don't think that's going to be the case, because it specifically says in the act that you cannot do that. And I'm sure that states are going to be, again, to be using this money effectively, they're going to want to be looking at all kinds of models, including municipalities that want to do it on their own, or maybe that want to do a partnership or do an open access network, that kind of thing. Shows the folks here that are on the board. It mentions who they are here in a minute, I think. Yeah. So the current AAPB board of directors are all affiliated with publicly owned networks and bring an intimate knowledge of what it takes to build and operate successful municipal networks. The board will be led by AAPB President Angela Imming, Director of Technology and Innovation for the City of Highland, Illinois, home to Highland Communication Services, which has been serving that Southwest Illinois city of 10,000 residents with fiber to the home service for over a decade now. So they've been doing this a long time. So then you've got Angela Bennick, GM for Kitsap Public Utility District in the state of Washington. She will serve as AAPB's Vice President. Serving as Secretary of the AAPB Board is Kimberly McKinley, Chief Marketing Officer for Utopia Fiber, the largest open access network in the nation. And that is, it mentions here, that's the one I did a broadcast about it a couple weeks ago. So they are a bunch of Utah telecom companies that came together and put together a large open access broadband network. So they've got the network, they put in the infrastructure, and they let ISPs come and ride that infrastructure and provide the retail services to people in their area. And they obviously put that together successfully, and now they're going to be partnering with the state of California on setting up a big open access network there. And I think also I remember Montana, they were doing it there, I think, as well. I believe that was them. So they are a great group, and she's a great resource to have on this, because a lot of experience, as we can see already. AAPB's treasurer is Scott Menhart, Chief Information Officer, Technology Officer for Traverse City Light and Power, which recently launched a municipal fiber to the home service in that northern Michigan town of 15,000. That's always, that area of Michigan, I think, is always kind of hard to serve. So that's good. And this is somebody who's got some recent experience as far as getting everything deployed. So that's good to have him on there. The 5-member board rounded out by Bob Knight, Commissioner of Economic and Community Development for the town of Ridgefield, Connecticut. He will serve as a member at large. And then you can go to their website. I'll go ahead and post a link to this article and then also to the website. So this is their website. There's not much up here yet. Talks a little bit their core values. That's pretty much it on the home page. They talk about advocacy, and really these, I don't know if that's going to go anywhere. Yeah. Again, there's not much up here, but what they're showing right now are the states that have restrictions and those that, let me see, a little bit of state progress. So there's just a little bit of information on here about the different states and progress that's been made. And this would not be, maybe some of this may be advocacy that they were involved in their normal roles or their roles prior to this association, because this association is very new, but a lot of this has been going on for a while. So you can see the states that have some restrictions. And I think a lot of these restrictions, if there is legislatively restrictions in these states for municipal broadband, I think we will be seeing that go away, because the funding, we've got the notice of funding opportunities coming out tomorrow or Monday, depending on if the NTIA can get it out before the weekend. And in the act, it says you cannot restrict who you're going to offer these funds to. So you cannot not offer this to municipalities. And if that being the case, and all of this money being available, I don't think states are going to turn up or turn away a lot of money if they've got some kind of law that says municipalities can't do broadband. So I think that those laws will be struck down or waived in some way where these funds will be available to municipalities. There's not much here on the About Us. Maybe nothing. I thought I looked, here it is. So it's just got basically, again, the picture of the board here, the folks that are on the board. And then membership, some information here on how much. So I'm going to make this bigger so I can read this. Membership categories. So they've got voting member categories, which would be government agencies for $1,000. And I think that's probably where they got a lot of that $100,000 or so that they got in the first 12 hours were probably some cities that said, hey, let's go ahead and sign up for this. We need this kind of help. Then you've got individual government employees. So if you are just work for a particular city, you could pay $300 and do that and be a voting member. Then you've got non-voting members, your nonprofit advocacy organizations, vendors. For example, we would fall in that category. They've got 2 tiers. You've got gold membership, $5,000. Branding on all AAPB marketing materials and access to quarterly membership meetings. Then you get Premier for $10,000. That adds exclusive networking events, digital and in person. So kind of pricey, but maybe once they start promoting more of what they're doing and having these meetings, it will make more sense for vendors to sign up. Especially if they do, for example, a conference, that kind of thing, where vendors can exhibit, or these networking events, which may be what those are. So. Again, they're just brand new, so they are just getting launched. So we'll see how that goes. So again, this sounds like a good resource for municipalities. So it looks like they've already raised $100,000, so that's going to go a long way to help them expand what they're doing and to further the efforts, what they're trying to accomplish here. So it's good to have that group. You've got other groups for different kinds of things. You've got the Fiber Broadband Association that certainly is interested in helping municipalities. You've got APPA, American Public Power Association, that provides assistance and things like that. So this is just another group that sounds like it's going to be advocating specifically for municipalities. So that's a good thing. Thanks for joining me. And if you are a municipality and you need help, make sure you go to our website, zquorum.com, or send us an email if you want some more information. We provide all kinds of services for broadband operators. We've been helping people get in the internet business since before broadband. I mean, since the dial-up days, really. We were helping not so much cities, but we were helping phone companies get in the internet business, and then later cable companies and independent ISPs. And today we work with municipalities, electric co-ops, and all who are either getting in the business or in the business. So we can help from everything from planning stages, feasibility studies, engineering to construction, design and construction. And then once you're in the business, we can help do a lot of the heavy lifting of the stuff that maybe you don't really want to be messing with. For example, provisioning end user devices, 24/7 technical support. We have diagnostics and monitoring. We can help with DDoS protection, all kinds of stuff. So go to zquorum.com and you'll see everything we do. Thanks for joining me. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and click the subscribe button. I do this every day, and if some news comes out you might want to know about, make sure you subscribe and click the little bell, especially here in the next day or two. As I mentioned, the Notice of Funding Opportunity is going to be coming out from the NTIA on a couple of the programs. Certainly the BEAD program, the Broadband Equity Access and Deployment Program. That's the $42.45 billion that's going to be going towards deploying broadband and making it more equitable, those kinds of things. So be looking for that from me here soon. As soon as that comes out, I'm going to look it over and start explaining what it's all about. So thanks a lot for joining me. If you like this, give it a like, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.